Doctors, as they are looking at you, can see the energy in the sense that they say, well, you're alive, or they see the absence of it in your physical vessel when they say, well, you are dead or not alive. But they don't understand that there is a projection and a receiving of a vibration. You could call it consciousness. You could call it source, that is coming to you and through you all day, every day. It's the whole of you. It's the eternal part of you. It's the part of you that was broadcasting even before you were born into this body. It's the part of you that eternally is broadcasting a signal, meaning thinking thoughts, having consciousness, having knowingness, having beingness. In other words, you are an eternally broadcasting being. So here you are in your physical body. Now, the part of you that's here in this physical body is only a small part of the whole of who you are. It's sort of like, as you're in your physical body, you may be thinking about the work that you're doing. You rarely do, but sometimes you do. Or you may be thinking about the love that you're making or the love that you're having, or you may be thinking about the car that you're driving. But you are never doing all of those things at the same time. In other words, you are projecting consciousness relative to different topics. You get that, don't you? You could be a master carpenter, but while you're bowling, you're not usually thinking about that. And if you are, you're not doing a very good job of bowling. Does anyone bowl? The point that we're making here is that this point of consciousness that is really who you are is huge in relationship to the personality consciousness that you know as you. It's a much bigger part of you that was and is non-physical. And that non-physical you is having a relationship with you all the time. The question is, are you conscious about the relationship that you're having with the larger part of you? How consciously connected to this source energy part of you are you? Now, emotionally speaking, when you're thrilled, when you're in a state of appreciation, when you are having a moment where you feel so deeply in love, when you feel passionate about something, that means that the vibrational frequency within you, caused by the focused thought that you've got going on in that moment, is so in alignment with the vibrational frequency of who you really are that there's no resistance. It's just total allowing of the fullness of you to manifest or be present in this moment. Now, we're using the word manifest deliberately here because we want you to know that in every moment that you are consciously focused, you have the potential of manifesting the fullness of who you are or not. Your emotions truly are manifestations. Manifestations meaning indications, meaning actualizations, meaning manifestations of who you are. How much of you are you allowing to manifest in this conversation that you're having with someone? And when you're angry or frightened, when you are frustrated, you've pinched off enough of the frequency. In other words, your frequency is different enough from the frequency of who you really are that you've pinched off the connection to some degree, and that's why you feel the diminishment of negative emotion. Negative emotion is diminishment. It's your indicator that you're running on lower fuel than you ordinarily could if you were focused in a way that was allowing more of who you are to be present in this moment. You live as extensions of source energy in what you have to acknowledge is a manifested environment where billions of you concur about your life experience as you vibrationally translate through your eyes and ears and nose and so on. There is nothing more spiritual than the materialism of this world, because there is nothing more leading edge than the manifestations that support the vibrational nature of your being. If you had not intended to experience things of a physical nature, you would have remained in the non-physical realm with the larger part of your beingness. But you've come expressly to sift through the details of this. So when we speak of manifestations, we want you to experience the manifestation. But what happens, what makes people talk against it or counsel against it is that they've missed that piece that we've been talking about all day here today. And when they miss the piece of alignment first, then they can't control manifestations. And then they feel like they have to demonize what they cannot control, you see. So we're bridging that a bit here today as we acknowledge that the emotion is a manifestation. But we promise you, you cannot come into vibrational alignment with who you are and hold yourself without demonstrating, without all kinds of physical material things demonstrating and materializing all around you, because it is the nature of this physical environment in which you've put yourself. The war between materialism and spiritualism is a misunderstood war. There are so many people who stand saying, if you care about material things, you can't care about spirit. And we want to say those who are most in alignment with who they are the most likely to experience the material world in the way they have intended. They've got it backwards, you see. But we're talking about manifestations of money, manifestations of wellness, manifestations of goosebumps, manifestations of clarity, manifestations of flexibility, manifestations of relationships. We're talking about the manifestations, the in the moment deliciousness of your experience, you see. We've been talking here today, and almost everyone has come into complete resonance with this idea of making peace with where you are. And yet, bodies of teachers not making peace with the very material world in which they are focused. Something very screwy about that, rabbit. When you are tuned in to that which is source, when you are tuned in, when you tune your frequency. Now you do it all the time sometimes, you just don't do it all the time. And we want you to know when you're doing it and know when you're not doing it, because when you know when you're doing it and know when you're not doing it, if you like it, you can do it more often. Especially when you understand what it is. So these things we want you to know. That which we call source, that which man often calls God, that which we refer to you as your inner being, that fullest part of you is always available to you right here, right now. But you have to do the tuning work, because the frequency of source is already set to a frequency, to a guiding light, to something that you have to work your way to. You have to feel your way to it, you see. So when you're thinking thoughts and they don't feel good, stop it. Or if you're thinking thoughts and they don't feel good, then try to find a thought that feels better. When you try to think a thought that feels better in the midst of thinking a thought that doesn't feel good, it's hard, because you've already often established a frequency, and law of attraction is already saying, oh, if you don't like that one, then you probably won't like this one either. If you don't like that one, then how about this one? If you feel this bad, you can feel even badder. In other words, law of attraction is not discriminating. Law of attraction just dishes up whatever you got going on, you see. So there are two things that you could do if you really want to get hold of your personal vibrational frequency. One is make a decision to appreciate every chance you get. And sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. Have you noticed it? Sometimes something will happen and appreciation will just well up in you. Goosebumps will bump up all over you. You'll be having one of those tuned in, tapped in, turned on moments, and you know it. You can just feel the fullness of source flowing with you. But sometimes when you're not feeling good and you try to appreciate, it just backfires. It just reminds you of how far you are from where you want to be. We tease with these affirmation cards that when you try to affirm, when you take an affirmation card that someone else wrote, and someone else did write these, it was us. They're brilliant. They are brilliant. Best words ever put on paper for tuning a frequency to well-being. These particular cards are about money and quite a bit relative to well-being in general, but it's focused toward money. And as you focus upon them, if you're not in the vicinity of the vibration of these cards, then you'll hate them. They'll just remind you what you've not got going on. I'm developing the skill to direct my thought. I can make a career of living happily ever after. Sure, I can. Welcome to planet Earth. I can transform my own world. If that were true, it would be different. I can see my world through the eyes of Source. I can see my world through the eyes of Source. So if you're not in the vibrational frequency of these cards, they don't seem so brilliant. And affirming, all right, maybe I'm not focused enough. Life is always working out for me. I can earn money by doing what I love to do. They don't pay you for surfing. I can create both money and the time to enjoy it. I'm going to send that to my boss. Whatever I desire, I can acquire. I'm going to send that to him too. So you get what we're getting at as we deliberately mock our own brilliance. Because the frequencies have to match up before it feels good. The frequencies have to match up before it feels good. And if the frequencies don't match up and you push it, you'll just dig in where you are. So now we're going to start at the beginning of this, just briefly. We know you've heard it from us, but in light of what you just heard us say, now we're going to rework that into the picture that you've been hearing before. So you were source energy before you came into these physical bodies, and the larger part of you still is source energy. Now, many of you want to say, blah, 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 blah. I don't care about that part of me. I don't even remember that part of me. Don't talk to me about that part of me. And we say, we have to talk to you about that part of you because that's your source. That's your power. That's your clarity. That's your wellness. That's your energy stream. And you want that to be your point of attraction. If you're running around in this physical body and your point of attraction is just based upon the stuff you think all day, you're in deep doo-doo. Because you watch CNN. You listen to people complaining. You watch the evidence. When you let reality as it stands be the dominant reason that you're offering the vibrations that you are, well, then what happens is you launch rockets all day long, but you don't allow yourself to become the manifested receiver of those rockets. And so life just gets harder and harder, and you just get ornerier and ornerier. But when you understand that every rocket that you launch causes the larger part of you to become more, and it is your unequivocal desire to become a vibrational match to that energy, are you getting what we're saying? I'm going to start over because we really want you to hear this. So you were source energy before you came into this physical body. Yeah, you know. And the larger part of you still remains source energy. All right, we'll accept that, Abraham. And here you are physically focused, mixing it up. Now, we're not for a moment implying that as you are physically focused that you're leaving behind all of that source energy. In fact, in the beginning, you don't leave it behind. In the beginning, you are that source energy. Your parents and those who surround you sort of grind it out of you over time as they encourage you or force you to face reality. But that larger part of you remains to some degree, always, no matter how much you pinch it off by facing reality. So, we'll start again. You were source energy before you came into this physical body, and the larger part of you still remains as this non-physical source energy. So here you are in this physical body, sifting and sorting through the contrast and coming to greater clarity about the things that you prefer, launching these rockets of desire, and the source within you becoming each one of these new requests so that there is a vibrational version of you always in existence. A vibrational version of you that is your guiding feeling. It is your guiding light. A vibrational version of you that if you will decide that you will seek resonance, if you will seek residence, if you will seek alignment with that. This is going to sound very profound. You want to write this down. The reality that you're living is realer to you than the reality in the vortex.
Right.
Because the reality in the vortex is only a vibration so far. We shouldn't say only because you can feel it, but it isn't fleshed out yet. So it's easier to believe in your sickness than in your wellness when the sickness is what is in the moment. It's easier to believe in not enough money to pay your bills than in all the money that's lined up for you, because the path to yield it to you in manifestation hasn't come yet. So this is the circle that we want to complete here. This is this new breakthrough that as you feel it will cause you to release resistance, and it will serve you really well. So we say to you on the one hand, what is the bouncing off place. It's the platform from which you ask. So you accept that, don't you? The contrasting platform from which you ask is putting things in the vortex, is what will be your future manifestation. So the contrasting reality is